early next week, and my understanding also is that the Secret Service is not going to leave his side throughout the entire booking process. Obviously, the rules here are going to be different than they normally would be. They're going to bring him in, and you talked about it earlier. He's going to be fingerprinted, and he's going to get that mugshot, which I think is really the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow here for the prosecution. And then he'll likely be walked right out. Remember, the Manhattan DA doesn't hold anybody. We've had bail reform, so they have no provision to hold him whether they wanted to or not, and he's going to walk right out. And then we're going to get into the procedure, and the procedure in this thing could be really voluminous and, in some cases, unprecedented.
What do you mean by the procedure? You say he's fingerprinted, gets the mugshot, no cuffs, right?
No, I don't think they're
no cuffs, so he'll probably walk out and do what, say what, what's that going to look like?
He'll come out, he'll give a press conference, I assume. He'll be out in front of the Manhattan DA's office, in front of the building here on Center Street, and, he'll talk to the cameras. When I'm saying procedurally, I mean the litigation, so to speak, the prosecution, the back and forth with the defense. There's all kinds of things that are going to go on here. Motion to dismiss, change of venue. Trump's lawyers, actually, especially after the stuff with Costello, could challenge the indictment itself, and that gives you a whole other side legal wrangle. But one of the things I do think that might happen here, and it goes to what you were just saying about your faith in the system, I have maybe a smidgen more, and it's at the appellate level. My hope is that if the indictment is what we think it is, now that's a point we have to adhere to. We don't know what's in it, and we're not going to get that indictment, by the way, until one of two things happens. The procedure in New York is that either the perp has to be in custody and you can release the indictment, or the judge has to okay it. So until one of those two things happens, Bragg would have to make a motion to release it. Then maybe we'll see it. Otherwise, we're not going to get it the earliest until next week.
So we expect to see another woman in the indictment, McDougal, who's a Playboy personality. So there's the Stormy payment, and then there's a possible other payment. There she is right there. And they're linking these two together. Now, as a lawyer, explain to me how this is criminal. If someone comes to you and says, I'm going to lie or say something about you if you don't pay me, you get your lawyer to pay her. Where's the crime?
Yeah, so you go right to it, and that's really why this thing is such a morass, because, again, if the indictment is what we've been told, and he's bootstrapping his way into the federal charge so that he can get the felony and then get around the statute of limitations, which even then he doesn't really make it, all right, even with the felony. But if he manages to do that, then you have the problem that the charge here, going back to the Edwards case, is not going to hold up. So
all right, so this is a BS deal.
Unless
it's going to get thrown. Right. Bragg's not holding something behind his back unless it's a sandwich. Tell me the relationship between the Secret Service and NYPD. There's going to be a lot of dudes out there.
Right.
We got Secret Service protecting the former president. You got NYPD strapped up right there at the DA's office.
Yep.
There's going to be a lot of juice in that building.
Yeah.
What's that going to feel like?
So, look, it's going to be very sort of militarized, because you're going to have a lot of people there. You're going to have, now, look, there have been some threats, as were reported, against Alvin Bragg. My understanding is that, that's died down a lot, and that likely now it'll spike. NYPD will be handling almost all of those threats. That's just the way it works on the ground here in New York City. The service is going to be handling the Donald Trump side of this. And so, yeah, they're going to be expecting protests. There's going to be a lot of folks out there doing prophylactic work. There's going to be a lot of stuff that's going on that's a deterrent that you don't see.
Right.
There's going to be a lot of intel work. There's going to be people all over the internet. They're going to be looking at various people that are already known to them. That's the kind of stuff I used to do all day, every day. They're going to be doing a lot that they can to move the goalposts, or the line of defense, rather, out further, so that they don't have to take action right there, so to speak, at the DA's office.
Is Alvin Bragg respected by law enforcement here in New York? Because he doesn't prosecute criminals. He apparently only prosecutes Republicans.
Yeah, I don't think I'm making any headlines here by saying there's a decent amount of dissatisfaction with the way this has gone from day one. We all know the day one memo and the import of that, where he essentially said, look, I'm taking this whole raft of crimes off the table.
Right.
Which is realistically a prosecutorial overreach. You don't get to write and rewrite the penal law because you've become the district attorney. Your job is to prosecute the laws that are on the books. You don't get the chance to say, you know what, all of these crimes on the books, they don't matter to us. And that's really what's happening.
Well, he's probably just trying to use this to propel himself into higher office. And as a Democrat